Okay, this isn't my official prop for this video, but I really felt like I kind of underused this prop last time, and I look pretty dapper in a mustache, I must say. Kind of disturbingly so, actually. Anywho, this next video is about how each of the presidents had their own take on imperialism and shaped it in their own way in their administration. And I can't show you there's a chart that goes with this, but I don't have a digital copy of it, and I haven't printed it here at home, and I have it at school, so sorry. It's called Turn of the Century Foreign Policy at the top, and it lists each president, starting with McKinley and going through Wilson, yes, Wilson, at the bottom, and that's what it looks like, okay? And then I'll have his, like, philosophy and then related accomplishments or something like that on the chart, so not too difficult to match that up with what I handed you out in class, I'm sure. Okay, so, William McKinley was the first president during imperialism that we need to talk about. If you remember, he was elected in 1896, the old Cross of Gold populist against Republicans showdown, and then he is elected to another term but is assassinated in 1901. He was at first a reluctant imperialist, but then he became really enthusiastic about it. He started to see how this was an opportunity to kind of spread Christianity and civilize and Christianize the rest of the world. And so he kind of comes into his own as an imperialist during his era. If you remember, he's the one who inherited the Hawaii problem, whereas Cleveland had kind of been like, oh, I don't know about this. McKinley's the one who finally says, yeah, for sure, we should annex Hawaii and make it part of the United States. He is the one who declares war against Spain in the Spanish-American War after the Maine exploded. And he also annexes the Philippines instead of giving them their liberty, which was kind of a controversial thing since they went to war with us over that. He said that he was going to Christianize the Philippines, and that was the basis on which he could justify taking them over, but that was kind of ironic because they'd been Christian for over 200 years. If you remember, the Spanish controlled them before that, and they were Catholic, so at some level it was his own ignorance of their culture that led him to that conclusion. Then we have Teddy Roosevelt in 1901. He becomes president when McKinley is shot, and then he's elected to his own term, and he had a famous phrase which says, "Speak softly but carry a big stick." He's the one who's very committed to the idea of peace through strength. Got a Nobel Peace Prize and also greatly expanded our military and our reach worldwide. There's a reason why Teddy Roosevelt is loved by both liberals and conservatives. Liberals like his policies at home regarding greater business regulation and looking out for the common man. Conservatives really like Teddy Roosevelt's foreign policy. It's one that's then followed also by Reagan. Really, pretty much most Republicans today think that the military should be expanded and that through having an overwhelming military advantage that we will have peace. He helped, if you remember, negotiate the Treaty of Portsmouth between Japan and Russia, and he got a Nobel Peace Prize for that. He also built the Panama Canal. He sent our fleet on a worldwide tour to show our strength to the world. And he issued the Roosevelt Corollary, where he basically said that he intended to revive the Monroe Doctrine, that we were going to be the policemen of the Western Hemisphere, and we would make sure that our interests were protected in Central and South America. Here's some cartoons we'll be looking at more closely in class related to that when we talk about this section. And then we have William Howard Taft. He was, of course, Roosevelt's vice president and will be elected in 1908. He is very much an imperialist, but for different reasons. His main goal was to protect U.S. business interests. There was a lot of now investment in Central and South America, a lot of people who'd bought property, and we wanted to see that that was protected. He was the governor of the Philippines, if you recall. That was his preparation for understanding kind of foreign policy. But he backed an idea called dollar diplomacy, which is that we would protect our investments in Central and South America, and also we would loan them money. If Central and South America were looking for loans, we would make sure that Europe or Asia did not provide that money, but instead we did. And through us, oh good heavens, between Central and South America owing us money, we would then have control over them, and we could kind of bend them to our will and protect our business interests there. So his was more of a financial and business related approach than the other presidents. And then we have Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson is very kind of high-minded. He has something called missionary policy. You know how missionaries usually are known as people who go forth and spread their religion throughout the world? Well, Woodrow Wilson, though he was a preacher's son, that was not what he was trying to spread throughout the world. He was trying to spread democracy throughout the world. And so his missionary policy is such that we try to pressure foreign governments to be democratic. He was the first president who said that maybe we wouldn't recognize countries and build diplomatic relationships with them and exchange ambassadors with them unless they were democratic. So, for example, when the Mexican Revolution happened, at first he didn't want to recognize the Carranza government until he was assured that it was in fact democratic. That's why he had not recognized the Madera, the dictator that came before Carranza in Mexico. That's why he had not recognized him, is because he felt certain he was a dictator. So he refuses to recognize Huerta, a dictator in Mexico, and he sent 10,000 troops, that should be 1,000, to Mexico to find Pancho Villa, and so he was the one involved heavily in Mexico. Here's Roosevelt and Taft, and Wilson and Taft, and I think that'll do it. Yeah, this was a quick one. Awesome. I will hope to see you in class, and we'll look a little bit more at those political cartoons and how each of these presidents were calculating. Subtle, huh? Subtle. How they were very calculating in terms of what their imperialist approach was.